The Tomorrow People episode 3 titled Girl Interrupted. This episode was pretty cool because we got to see Kara's her outbreak, and it was really interesting. I didn't expect it to be the way it was, and at all. We find out she actually unleashed her powers because she was about to be raped, and she was also deaf, and her abilities allowed her to hear, or allow her to hear since she still has them. But I thought her past was a really good story, and it ended. It was like the whole thing was sad, really. I mean, nothing about it was happy at all. She was almost raped, and then her dad basically pushes her away, and when she reads his mind, she finds out he's just like, we'll be better off without her. And the only person that seemed to really care, I would assume her mom wasn't in it because we don't see her mom at all. So I would assume it was just her dad, and her sister. But her little sister seems to be the only person who even cares at all about her. And she just has to leave and find out what she is and who she is on her own. But even though it was so short, it was definitely the best part of the episode. And of course, it does tie into everything that's happening because it helps Steven figure out the problem with the girl at his school, and it also just explains why Kara is having so many problems helping Steven. She's like reading everyone's mind even though she's not trying to do that. And I thought it was really good just showing her struggle, and how every year she has to deal with that. And she, as they say in the episode, she kind of just relives it. But I thought it was really well done. And Steven, he's sneaking through Ultra, and he gets busted by his uncle, of course. And it was really funny. And he's just like, when he finds him, he's like, what are you doing here? And he says, I'm looking for you because I wanted to talk. And his face, it was just a stone face, and he's just like, it just come on. And he obviously knows something's up, but for some reason he's just letting things go, and it's obviously because he wants to have Steven lead him, to the Tomorrow People. But how he does it is always just so interesting, and we have to watch Steven kind of go back and forth every time when he's busted to come up with some random lie. And even though his uncle does know that he's going to eventually lead him to the Tomorrow People, in this episode Steven does try to convince him that he is on Ultra's side by basically turning Kara human. And what we see in this episode is that he is able to unlock like the time stopping ability again, and he basically tricks them into thinking he injected Kara into being, or with the serum or virus, whatever. I guess it really depends on which side of the needle you're on, but serum or virus, and it turned her human. But he was able to stop time, which I thought was really cool. And initially, I thought he pushed the stuff on the ground, and it was like a little distraction or whatever, and then he like stuck it into the like the pad behind her or whatever. But he stopped time and injected her with saline, and that was really cool. And he's learning it early on in the episode with his new partner, who seems pretty interesting. She's fairly stone cold, sort of, and she tricks him into thinking he's about to get shot because she wants to see if he can unlock his new power again. And she pulls the trigger and shoots the blank on him and finds out nothing happens. But he's able to do it at the end of the episode because it's not just that simple emotion of I'm in danger. I think it's him having to protect other people while also being in danger is kind of what helps him use the time stopping ability. But in this episode, we do get to see it again, once again, tiny little snippet of it. But it was a pretty cool show, and it was a good episode with once again him using his power and him helping out the girl in his class because he's gotten a bit of a hold on the telepathy, so he's reading all these people's minds at the party. And when he finds out that the one girl, or at least he thinks she plans on killing herself, he pretty much devotes all of his time to trying to help her out and figure out, what are these numbers, this and that. And when his friend Astrid finds out, she kind of joins in, and of course that just leads to some serious problems when he says, I saw her, or I heard her talking to the counselor, or like I overheard her talking to the counselor. And when they go see her at the restaurant or whatever, and Astrid says that, the girl says, like, that's funny because I haven't been there all year. And it was like, this is gonna lead to something serious, and of course it does at the end of the episode when Astrid goes to the train tracks and she sees Steven there just as he teleports away. And instead of him telling her what happened, like he tried to, last episode, he just, he denies it because he's learned his lesson, from Car. And when she showed him, her dad basically pushed her away. And people will think you're a freak and they'll just desert you if they find out that you're different, especially when different is superhuman. But his friends onto him, she saw him, and he denied it now rather than trying to include her. So with him, having a certain lesson in his head now, he knows he can't exactly just tell people, hey, I have superpowers. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, and whether or not he will just eventually let her in even though she's human. And maybe she could get to meet the Tomorrow People and she'll be like an okay human pretty much. But at the same time, it could go the exact opposite way, and she could meet his uncle and really find out what's going on with Ultra, and then she could basically turn against him because, well, she would obviously already know he has powers, but she could end up being in the middle and sort of have to decide, does she want to stop these people because she just instantly believes that they're all evil, or will she trust Steven because they grew up together, I would assume, or they're at least really close friends. They might not have grown up, but they're really close friends. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out, and it'll obviously be in I assume each episode, because she's been in each episode so far. And obviously they have to show him at school at some point where he's trying to interact with her, and she's kind of pushing him off now because she knows what she saw, and he's just gonna deny it so that he can keep it secret. But although it was a pretty good episode, um, the introduction of the partner, I think, is going to be the most interesting, carrying on in the future. That, and of course his friend finding things out, or finding out that he has powers. But I'm really curious to see how the partner thing plays out, with her, obviously with his last partner, or his, I guess, commanding officer being killed off. They're kind of on equal ground, even though she's been there longer. They are partners, and we'll have to see how he sort of works with her while trying to stay a double agent. And even though he does have the chip, although his uncle did take it, I don't know if he gave it back to him. I doubt he did. But even if he did, I'm sure they're gonna find a way to have it where that goes away at some point, and he has to really work on not having his mind read all the time. Which I'm still trying to figure out how certain things work, because like Carr reading his mind and the woman's mind, I thought was interesting. Like if someone's reading your mind, you can't feel it. Pretty much that's how that worked the whole time, because he didn't know that Carr was reading his mind. So if his partner's reading his mind, he'd have no idea really, and he couldn't exactly defend it because they wouldn't say, "Hey, I'm about to read your mind." So I'm excited to see how that plays out, because she'll, of course, his partner will of course be on his team, but she won't be on his side because they know that he's kind of trying to do things on his own, do things his own way. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But this episode overall, I thought was really well done. I feel like there's not too much to say because the side story itself I didn't feel was too amazing. I mean, I'm glad he helped the girl, and Car in the end, after she was able to pretty much help herself, she helped the girl and said, hey, this type of thing isn't your fault. Sometimes things just happen and you can't blame yourself. And she helped the girl, and it was pretty good. And them going through dealing with the fact that humans are separate from the Tomorrow People, even though it's fairly subtle, they do constantly bring it up. You can't, like, don't worry about their species. Like, they kept saying that through this whole episode. And that was a little thing that it was over and over again. It's their species, our species, stuff like that. They were really, Steven's like the one person in the middle, and obviously his uncle is on the human side, and the Tomorrow People are on their side. But Kara does help the girl in the end, and so does the other guy. I can't ever think of his name, but they do help her, and it was just really good. And we also, a random little thing, we did get an action scene in this episode, which was pretty cool. And they ended up getting tricked because they thought a new person was having an outbreak, but it turned out to be a trap by Ultra. And so we got a nice little fight scene. I thought it was kind of funny. It's like, is it racist that the Asian guy knows martial arts? But whatever. And then also wasn't him like the guy like he'd do a little punches, a couple of punches and stuff, and then it's like they cut and it's like yeah, it's obviously a different guy doing these amazing roundhouse kicks and stuff. I always think that's really funny in shows, but it was a pretty cool fight scene, as small as it was. And something I still see like every episode, like when they're on the train and they teleport into their base pretty much, it always seems like they have to be on that train as if it's something like they have to be in a certain location, but I know they don't, which it always seems so weird to me that they get on the train and then teleport. And it could of course be for safety so that they know, no one's watching, but it always just seems so weird. Like, why couldn't they just teleport anywhere and then teleport to their base? Like, they couldn't possibly, be followed that fast, and no one would know where they went unless they do, because once again, with this only being episode 3, I'm still trying to figure out some of the basics of the teleportation. And it just always seems like they have to be in a certain location to teleport. And like after the fight, when the guys do run off, the one guy teleports first and then the other guy runs like right behind him. I was wondering, like, why couldn't he just teleport as soon as he let go of the other guy instead of running and then teleporting? But it seemed like it was just weird. It just seemed like they had to be in that specific spot. But I'm pretty sure they can just teleport. But it always seems weird how they kind of make it seem like they have to be in a certain location, and it's mostly when they teleport like to their base. It seems like they have to be on that train first, and that's just something that they do every episode, which is why I really wanted to mention it in the review, because it just caught my attention. Like, they don't just seem to teleport. It always seems like whenever they go somewhere specific, mostly to their base, they have to be in a specific location before they can teleport there. But that's just me looking at stuff, and it's probably absolutely nothing, and it's just they just happen to run and teleport. And of course, with them being on the train, they can kind of know whether or not they're being followed, because obviously at whatever stop that is, everyone just gets off all the time. But aside from me trying to figure out all this random stuff for the show, loved the episode. Thought it was really good. Enjoyed the preview, which we get to see more of Steven's mom, and she finds out that he's working with his uncle. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out. Also, the preview, there's a lot of action based stuff going on, cars blowing up, people with guns shooting at other people. So excited for next week's episode, and I feel like we'll get more of Steven's partner, so that'll be cool to see too. But comment below, let me know what you thought of this episode. What was the most exciting thing for you to see? Was it Cars past, or was it Astrid finding out that Steven is actually superhuman? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.